Hi everyone. I wanted to talk about Luciferianism again. That is, I actually already talked about it, but that was in German. And when I actually made several German videos about it, and each was like 2 hours. So it was really in depth, and it went into the whole history of it. And I realized maybe okay, it was a bit too long. So I wanted to make a shorter video about it in English, but the problem is kind of, um, if you make the video very long, then no one's gonna watch it, and if you make the video too short, then you don't have enough time to explain the important aspects and why that topic is important. So first off, of course, I don't want to promote this kind of stuff. Quite the opposite. I want to expose it. And I feel it's necessary to expose it because I have seen how shall I put this? Well, I have seen some of the bad effects this has had on people, and some people don't even realize it. I know some people who are really into Luciferianism, but they don't even know that it's Luciferianism, right? So it has had some very bad effects. So I want to expose that. Of course, then I have the dilemma. How do I expose it? In a way that isn't too involved and too doesn't drag out too long, and it's easy to understand. It's a bit of a challenge for me, and I don't use script, so bear with me. It's important. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this. And as you can see here, those are actually my German articles about it. This is actually just about Prometheus, but it ties in um, well, everything ties together, sort of. Here's my article about Lucifer. Because of course, you have to have a basic understanding of these kinds of things. Anyway, here's an English article. This isn't by me. Um, it's just an English article I found because I don't write English articles. That's also a bit of a problem. I only write German articles, so I apologize. So I can't use my, in the German video I just kind of explained the German articles I already wrote about it, so it was easy. But since I haven't written any articles about it in English, I have to use an English article. So this article isn't by me. This article is actually by Luciferians, or at least it seems that way, that this article was written by Luciferians themselves. It's not a bad article, So and I thought, hey, if I use an article they've written themselves, then at least no one can accuse me of misrepresenting them. But actually, these are not the kinds of Luciferians that I mean. Um, because of course, I don't want them to feel offended, but these are not real Luciferians. These are just, actually, this is a website, it's just some people who are into occult stuff and run an occult online shop and so on. They're just, I'm assuming they're like, young people who are into esoteric stuff and who are into Satanism, and I have nothing against Satanists. Of course, I don't like Satanism as an ideology. Obviously, I believe it to be an evil ideology. But that said, I don't. It's not like I don't like Satanists because I like everybody, right? And especially these kinds of Satanists, they're just young people. They want to experiment a little with their sexuality and stuff. That's not the actual kinds of Luciferians that I want to warn people about. And of course, Luciferians don't like being called Satanists because, well, a lot of them don't actually even see themselves as Satanists. And they, well, above all, they don't see themselves as bad. And the article actually mentions that where does it say that? Oh yeah, I have found the most acceptable to Luciferianism in its true sense are actually biblical scholars and highly intelligent Christian students. And why is that? That's because Luciferians don't believe themselves to be evil, and they don't believe themselves to be Satanists, and as such, they don't come across as such. With normal Satanism, the Anton Sander LaVey stuff and so on, those, some also call them, even some Luciferians, call them disapprovingly dress up Satanists. Even many Satanists don't believe that they're real Satanists, right? I mean, that the likes of Anton Sander LaVey and so on, they're just kids experimenting and, and they're open about it. I mean, you can, I mean, with people like Marilyn Manson and so on, I mean, they don't hide at all the fact that they're Satanists. If you take one look at Marilyn Manson, you can tell right away he's a Satanist. He doesn't hide it at all, and you can ask him. He's spoken openly about this in interviews and has admitted that that he actually was a priest in the Church of Satan. That's Anton Sander LaVey's organization, which I showed you the photo of just a second ago. I can't make it bigger, sadly. Otherwise, hope I'm not gonna get in trouble. But that's that's the kind of stuff that they do. They dress up or they undress and do their little ceremonies and do their little blasphemy rituals and it's and these are still human beings. I don't I love them just like I love everyone else because I'm not opposed to anyone, and I don't think necessarily that they're necessarily evil people as a whole. I mean, obviously the ideology isn't good, but no one is perfect. Everyone commits sins. Obviously, those are sins, but who doesn't sin, right? So these are not these are not the kinds of Luciferians that I want to warn people about. That's not what I mean. These are just kiddies, and they're not necessarily doing anything truly evil, or at least not necessarily, right? So that's not what I mean. That's not what I want to warn people about. What I want to warn people about is this kind of stuff, and then I'm intentionally starting really early with the lower keys of Solomon. Because I don't want to use any actual names. This is not what it's about, because you could use some specific organizations as examples, but that's all they are. They're just examples. Like, this organization, everyone knows that. Everyone knows that organization. But these organizations, well, okay, no one knows if this organization still exists, but some people claim it would. And with this organization, well, this organization obviously still exists. So I don't want to offend anyone, so I'm not going to use actual names like that and actual examples like that. And I also want to avoid the keywords. And it's not just organizations like that, and those aren't even the actual organizations I want to talk about. I mean, they're not directly the religion that I want to talk about. At best, they're like front organizations, and it's the actual religion that I wanna talk about, and that sort of came about with this here, with the lower keys of Solomon, and that actually all of it started with this. And I actually love this book. It's a good book. This is just a Wikipedia article. Wait a minute. No, this is yeah. Wait a minute. Oh, this is the Italian article. No, not the Italian article. Uh, this is what I mean. This is an online version of the steganography book. It's actually in German. Well, it's actually the original is in German and in Latin. It's a great book. And well, it masquerades as an occult book, teaching you to summon demons, but actually it's not. It's not at all. That's just the facade. That's just its cover, because actually it's basically the first in-depth book on steganography, and steganography is simply, well, as it says here, the sure art of disclosing the intention of one's mind to those who are absent through secret writing. And yeah, and of course, now you might think, well, if it just plainly states that, then what's so secret about it? Well, as you go on reading the book, it on the surface it looks like it would be an occult book, and the way these secret writings are transmitted is by demons or spirits, but actually it has nothing to do with the occult. It was actually written by a monk, and it has nothing to do with the occult. There's no actual occult content in that at all. The whole stuff with the spirits and demons is just it's just a cover for the steganographic parts of it, for the coded parts, and it doesn't actually contain any occult secret message. It actually just teaches you how to encode your messages. It's just a book on encryption, basically. Encryption in the year 1606. Actually, the first edition was written even earlier. So great book, and not actually demonic. It just appears to be demonic because it uses the demonic part as a cover. But then came along the lower keys of Solomon, which is basically, someone must have looked at that book and was like, great book. Pity that it doesn't actually teach you to summon demons. So they kind of went and wrote the exact same book again, just this time actually teaching you how to summon demons, and that's basically how the lower keys of Solomon came about. And so and then and that was like at the end of the Middle Ages, which is when this whole thing and this whole occultism thing really started to go through the roof. And that's also, I mean, Luciferianism existed sort of before, but not really. That's also, during that time and with books like that, that's really, as the foundation, so to say, that's really how Luciferianism then took off. So what is Luciferianism? Luciferianism, well, to outsiders, it looks like Satanism, but like I said, they themselves don't necessarily see themselves as Satanists. They don't necessarily see themselves as the bad guys. They do worship Lucifer, sort of, or at least, they do view Lucifer as their god, or at least the closest thing to a god, because they don't really believe in God. But if they would have a god, then it would be Lucifer. So Lucifer is sort of their leader, so to say, or it is at least the being they look up to. So yeah, Lucifer is basically their god. So and they don't see him as the bad guy. They see him as the good guy, which is why they don't see themselves as evil or as Satanists. Actually, they're moral relativists. They don't believe in morality. They don't believe they don't see themselves as evil or as Satanists because they don't believe there is evil in the sense that we understand it, and they don't believe there is Satan in a sense that we understand it. They see Lucifer as the good guy, and and God as, well, like I said, they don't actually believe in good and evil, so they don't actually see God as evil because they don't believe in good and evil. But if they would believe in good and evil, then their belief would be to that well, at least that's the closest thing, right? If they don't believe in the devil and they don't believe in God, but if they had a devil, then God would be their devil, and Lucifer would be their god. So at least that's that's the best way to describe it, because they don't believe in good and evil, and they don't believe in morality, and that's why they're so insidious. They really are, because they don't come across as evil and they don't see themselves as evil, and they and they are truly corrupting. Their whole idea is that basically the corruption of moral values would be a good thing, and that's what they set out to do. So, and it's not just limited to their followers. Of course, they corrupt their followers, but their ideal society is like a corrupt society where the morals are corrupted because they see morals as evil, which is why I'm trying to warn people about this, because they can have such a corrupting effect on people. Um, yeah, because they don't only teach their followers to disobey morality, but they want to even have that sort of influence on society. It's like they're kind of like the Jehovah's Witnesses of the Satanists, in the sense that they go and they well, they don't go door to door proclaiming their faith, but they want to spread their faith as much as possible, even to the people who don't directly believe in their faith. They just want to have um, such an influence on society and want society to stop believing in God, because essentially they hate God, and they love Lucifer, basically, and they want to spread that. And that's what makes them, in my opinion, so dangerous. Okay, because I already have that page open, I'm just gonna go to that page now. Um, Everyone knows this organization. This isn't, this is just, I'm just using this as an example. I'm not just talking about this organization. I'm just using it as an example. As you can see here, 322, that actually refers to the Bible. Genesis 3, because actually you also have the G in some versions. So G is for Genesis and 322. So it's Genesis 322. Um, maybe I should actually quote that. I quoted it, but I quoted it in German. So of course, in that case, you had the skull, but in some versions you also have the chi. So you have chi 322, which stands for Genesis 322. So I'm just looking that up for you in English. And the Lord God said, "The man has now become like one of us, knowing good and evil. He must not be allowed to reach out his hand and take also from the tree of life and eat and live forever." So this is in Genesis, the part where Adam and Eve eat from the tree of knowledge. And this is sort of what Luciferianism is about, which is also why I had Prometheus here. So in their eyes, um, Lucifer is not a bad guy. In their eyes, Lucifer is essentially Prometheus, and Prometheus in their eyes is basically the good guy. Even though Prometheus is, of course, also, I mean, he's from Greek mythology, but he also is, um, well, he is in opposition to the Greek god, and yeah, and he brings people fire, and the fire, of course, symbolizes knowledge, symbolizes enlightenment, and then, of course, it also ties in with this organization, because they're all sort of, all these kinds of organizations have this sort of Luciferian ideology at their core. It's just that a lot of people don't realize that this Luciferian religion is essentially behind these ideologies. So we have these lovely guys. I'm not gonna say their name. I mean, it's in German here. Uh, I still want to, maybe put this video on social media, so I have to be a bit careful. And but you can see it. You see the symbol, and this is the symbol of this society, right? And of course, I'm not one of these crazy people. I don't necessarily say they still exist. I don't know. I don't care. I'm just using it as an example. And this is their actual symbol, because a lot of people think they would have different symbols, but no, this is their symbol. It's an owl, and this is actually the owl of Minerva. I actually have an article about that as well. So this is Minerva. Minerva again is basically the same figure as Prometheus. Again, she's in opposition to God. And she fights or intends to fight with God, and here you have her, the owl, and that's the symbol of this organization. It's the owl of Minerva on an open book, symbolizing knowledge, but symbolizing this kind of knowledge you get from the tree of knowledge. That kind of the kind of knowledge that Adam and Eve got after eating from the tree of knowledge. That kind of knowledge, and that kind of knowledge that is sort of in opposition to what God told you to do, because like I said, they see God as kind of the bad guy. Oh, restricting people, not allowing people to have knowledge. Oh, such a square, such a loser, bowing. I want to have knowledge. I want to be my own God. This is what this is actually. This is why this other organization has the 322, right? Um, in reference to Genesis 3:22, because as you can see, this is the part where again I'm just going to read it again. Uh, the man has now become like one of us, knowing good and evil. He must not be allowed to reach out his hand and take also from the tree of life and eat and live forever. So yeah, it's sort of the reference to that is sort of in defiance to God. It's a statement of defiance, saying, yeah, we're not going to listen to you. We want knowledge. We want to eat from the tree of knowledge. We want to be like God. You're restricting us. We could be like gods, but you're restricting us. You're not allowing us to eat from the tree of knowledge and to eat from the tree of life and live forever and have all the knowledge. But we want to have all the knowledge and we want to live forever and we could be like gods, but you evil God, you are not allowing us to. So you're the bad guy. So that's sort of the philosophy here, okay? Which so they seek, but both this organization and the other organization, and there's so many organizations like that. It's not limited to those organizations. And essentially, I'm not talking about those organizations. I don't care. Maybe some of them are even nice organizations. I don't know. I don't care. I'm just talking about the ideology and the religion that is sort of behind some of the aspects of the ideology, and that is Luciferianism. And that is what I'm trying to get at here. That's what I'm trying to explain here. It's it's the it's the belief, and that's what I'm trying to expose. It's the belief and the ideology that Luciferians have, and they have that kind of attitude and and that kind of ideology that I'm trying to explain to you here. And actually, the name of this organization, and this is actually their book. This is the book that contains their ideology. But of course, this is the book that was actually published in public. So they have like two separate ideologies, one for the public, and this is this book, and then the ideology that is not as public. So this is the public part of the ideology. Anyway, so as you can see, this is just the cover of the book from 1788. And this is the name of the organization, as you can see here. But a lot of people know that name, but a lot of people don't even think about the name very much, because what does this name mean here? And of course, this is in German, but you probably know what I mean, right? You know this organization by its English name or by its Latin name. And it's basically the same word. It just has the N at the end in German, because of course it was founded in Germany. Actually, it was founded right in my area, but that's another topic. Anyway, what does this mean? This name here, what does it mean? It means, if you translate it from the Latin, it means the enlightened. And the whole title of the book is Das verbesserte System der mit all seinen Graden und Einrichtungen, herausgegeben von Gotha. By the way, it was published in Gotha, which is also important for understanding some of the symbolism. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So, what does that mean? So, the title of the book is The Improved or Superior system of the enlightened people, with all its various with all its various with all its various degrees and establishments. So yeah, that's the title. Yeah, so it's a bit arrogant, and they are. I mean, not necessarily this organization, but I'm talking about the religion behind it. I'm talking about the Luciferians. They are arrogant. They see themselves as better as other people. They see themselves as more knowledgeable. They do see themselves as enlightened. And a lot of people get confused, and some even intentionally, even some Luciferians like Madame Blavatsky, even intentionally confuse that with Buddhism, but it has nothing to do with Buddhism, nothing wrong with Buddhism, and that's also kind of a feature of them. They sort of attack every religion, including Buddhism. So they intentionally confuse it with Buddhism so as to make Buddhism look bad because they don't like any religions. But we'll get to that in a second. Anyway, so them calling themselves enlightened, some people misunderstand it and kind of think, oh, so they're enlightened like Buddhists are enlightened. No, not that kind of, no, completely different kind of enlightenment. Okay, nothing to do with the enlightenment in Buddhism. This is, how shall I put this? It's a well, it's well, maybe you could call it an evil enlightenment, right? It's a sort of, well, it's a Luciferian enlightenment, okay, which is very different from the enlightenment in Buddhism, because obviously, with Buddhist monks, they're very humble, whether they be enlightened or not. Buddhist monks are very humble and not arrogant at all, even if they would be enlightened, even if you look in Buddhist scriptures, and there are many stories like that, and there are even many stories about monks becoming enlightened. But once they have become enlightened, they don't act at all like the Luciferians do, right? They don't act like smug, and they don't act like superior, and they don't act arrogant. They don't think that they're better than you. They don't act like that at all. But the Luciferians do, and it's not even true enlightenment. They just call it enlightenment because they want to think of themselves as being enlightened, as being so much better than everyone else. But that's just all it is. It's not true enlightenment. It's essentially just arrogance and a desire to feel superior to everyone else. So it's actually very evil and has nothing to do with actual kind of enlightenment in true religions. And of course, the skull. What does the skull refer to? Well, there is a place of skulls, and that's Gehenna and Golgotha, both biblical places, and the place where Jesus was crucified. And also sometimes you have like 32 and you have 33, and that was the age Jesus was crucified. Again, referring to that place of skulls, Golgotha, which also sounds similar to Gotha, by the way, which is why I mentioned that earlier, because that's where that other book was published. Anyway, I'm digressing again. So why is this referenced? Why these biblical references, and why the skull? because and I talked about that a bit when I talked about Madame Blavatsky. She has those snakes as symbols, and you have those snake symbols a lot as well, because again, referring to the Garden of Eden, and referring to the snake, and they in Christianity, the snake would be seen as the devil and as the bad guy, right? But they see the snake as the good guy, right? So, so you have a lot of snake symbolism as well, and all referring to those biblical things. And so on the surface, you think, oh yeah, oh, they talk about the Bible and they talk about the biblical concepts, and they even have biblical symbols like the skull referring to Golgotha, the place where Jesus was crucified. Oh, and they have the snake. Oh, and that's also referring to the Bible, to the snake in the Bible. So, oh, they're Christians. No, they're not Christians. And if you know anything about Christianity, you know that they're not Christians. Because yes, while they have some of the same symbolism, uh, the on but those are the bad things, right? The snake is the devil. No one in Christianity would take the snake to be the good guy, or would take a skull and a bone to be a good symbol, but they do. For them, those are good symbols. For them, the snake is the good guy and God is the bad guy. So yes, while outwardly it seems like they have Christian symbolism, in reality, it's like inverted symbolism. They take Christian symbolism, and everything that's good, they turn bad. And everything that's bad, they turn good. It's all inverted. It's all upside down. Reflecting the hatred of God and their love for Lucifer and their love for the snake, and their hatred towards traditional morality. They think traditional morality is evil, and instead they have this kind of inverted morality where good is bad and bad is good. And that's reflected in their symbols, which is why they have all these kinds of evil symbols like skull and bones and snakes and Lucifer and all that kind of stuff that you would normally associate with evil, but they use that as their symbol. They think all those things are good, or as good as you can get, because they don't even believe in good and evil. They sort of see themselves as beyond good and evil. They see they really see themselves as superior to everyone else, and as not being subject to the same um, laws or the same concepts of morality as everyone else. So they think that they're beyond that they're better than that, and as such, they don't only not just disregard morality, but they really invert it. And in a way, like I said, a lot of things that you would consider bad, they consider good, actually, or at least as close to good as you can get without believing in good and evil. And that's why you have that symbolism, because they think, all the bad things in the Bible, like Adam and Eve eating from the tree of knowledge, eating the forbidden food, and then being expelled from paradise. They think that them eating from the tree of knowledge and eating the forbidden food and disobeying God, they think that was a good thing. And again, the reference to Golgotha and to Jesus' crucifixion, again, they think that was a good thing. It's not necessarily that they hate Jesus. It depends on whether or not they consider Jesus God, because they hate God, obviously. So if you consider Jesus God, then yes, they would hate Jesus because they hate God. But some of them don't consider Jesus necessarily to be God, so it depends on whether or not they consider Jesus to be God. But even those who are like, oh yeah, Jesus was kind of okay, yeah, he was just a man or something, but he was kind of okay, not necessarily a bad guy. Even they have the attitude that, oh yeah, Jesus' crucifixion was a good thing, and that's why they have that references to the place of skulls, because death and crucifixion and dying, that has good aspects in their twisted mind, because they have like like what socialists and communists refer to as dialectical materialism, where in conflict, um, uh, you advance through conflict. They believe conflict to be a good thing. Of course, it isn't, but they think. I mean, communists and socialists have that ideology of dialectical materialism, where they look at history and look at conflicts and think that, oh, whenever there was a conflict and whenever there was a war and whenever there were people dying, um, that advanced society. So yeah, violent revolution is a good thing because that advances society. That's their twisted mind, and that's because of their view of dialectical, materialistic, historical um, materialism. So I said materialism two times. So it's historical dialectical materialism or materialistic dialectic or whatever you want to call it. So this is the kind of view they have. They see conflict as a good thing. They think so they even go so far as to intentionally engineer conflict, as to intentionally engineer division, as to intentionally engineer all kinds of conflicts, between all kinds of groups of people, And if you're a crazy person and think, oh yeah, it's all the fault of this religion. This religion is evil. Yes. If you're like that, and if you're an extremist, and if you have hate, they love you. They love you. They want you to be like that because they think, hey, that's a good thing. If you hate this and that group of people, if you hate this and that class, or this and that ethnicity, the more extreme you are, and the more you're filled with hate against whatever group of people, even if you accuse those kinds of people, or if you accuse that religion of being behind, the things that they're behind, they think that's a good thing, because first off, you got it all wrong, and you're not even close to getting to the true culprits. And secondly, you're causing division, you're causing conflicts, you're causing hate. They think that's a good thing, and you're diverting attention away from them, by saying, oh yeah, this religion is behind it, and that's why they do this. They kind of, they want you to get this confused, and they want you to hate religions. Oh, and here this is John Robinson actually exposed that very well. I would I would recommend that you all read this book. It's a very old book, It's and it's from as you can see here, it's from 1797. But it's still, you think it's such an old book, but it's still relevant. Read this book; it's a great book, And of course, here you have the actual title, and the title is so long, Actually, you don't even need to read the book. All you need to do is just read the title, because the title already says it all, right? Look at this title. Great book. Read it. At least read the title, okay? So read the title here, okay? Yeah, as you can see, I don't want to. I don't want to spell it out because I'm trying to avoid certain terms. So, but look at this here. He says it already, all in there. And this was actually, by the way, this was written by a famous, very high level Freemason. And of course, nothing against Freemasons. Well, or at least not back then. He was very much aware of a certain, infiltration that was already going on back then, and that's why he wrote that book, in order to expose that infiltration. So you'd think, oh, he was against these people here. No, he wasn't, because he himself, was one of these people here, right? So he wanted to expose the infiltration that was already taking place back then by these people here, of these people here, okay? That's why he wrote that book. And it's a very good book. And yeah, so do read it if you want to get into it. And yeah, he says it already, all in there, and that really is, just with the title, he summed up their plan. And this isn't just the plan of these people here. This is the plan truly of Luciferians. That's kind of their agenda. That's what they want, because they hate God, they hate religions. So they want to get rid of, as you can see here, against all the religions. They want to get rid of all the religions, but of course they can't do it, at once and just attack all the religions at once. So, they start with this religion and then that religion, So, for example, Madame Blavatsky, she infiltrated Buddhism and made Buddhism look bad and attacked Buddhism that way. And that's kind of how they operate, They don't just slander all the religions, of course, not at once, piece by piece. But they don't just slander them from the outside. They infiltrate them, pretend to be part of that religion, and make it look bad. And then, of course, they also have people on the outside slandering at the same time. And this is a very effective tactic. And they've been very successful with it, sadly. And they started, they already started back then, and they were already very successful back then. And now over 200 years have passed, and they have come even further with it. You think it's a coincidence that all around the world, like throughout history, all around the world, people were religious and people believed in God. They might have had different names for God, but everyone believed in God. Okay? And everyone was religious. All over the world. For the entire history of mankind, it was like that. But now suddenly, since then, since that was going on, and ever since then, and ever increasingly, religions are weakened, and people's beliefs, people's faiths are weakened. And it's not a coincidence. This is what they want. And the most effective way of doing so is, of course, to do so from the inside. So that's very effective. And they're doing that with all religions. And it even reaches the point that, some people, like I said, even accuse certain religions of being the conspirators. And if you think that, then you precisely fallen for their lies. They want you to think that, because that way you're diverting from the true conspirators, and that way you're also weakening whatever religion you believe to be the culprit. So anyway, here's the whole title again. It's even being republished, so you can even buy it as a physical book. Very nice. Here's the German version, and here it says about these kinds of societies in the shadows and their danger for society, state, and religion. So that also sums it up quite nicely. And here is as they can, they even put that in brackets here, that this is anti-Jacobin. So he also wrote a book exposing the Jacobins, which were essentially the communists of their time. So a lot of similarities in the ideology as well. The Jacobins also had similar ideologies to the Luciferians, and like I just gave you the example, that the thing with dialectical materialism, that is also an ideological belief that is shared between all of these kinds of organizations, and that these kinds of revolutionary organizations share with Luciferianism. And some people even suggest that, therefore, these organizations, like the one with the skull and the bone, and the one with the owl, that they would even support these kinds of revolutionary organizations, because, like I said, they believe conflict advances society. But of course, they want to advance society into this kind of society, into a society where there are no traditional religions anymore, where there are no traditional countries anymore either. They have like this wet dream of of basically them being in power. I don't know if that's the case or if they ever reached that, but that's sort of their wet dream. So, yeah, not good guys, not good guys. And if you let them incite you, if you let them spread hate, if and I don't care who it is. I don't care what class of people it is. I don't care what group of people it is. I don't care what religion it is. I don't care. If you let them incite you against whatever religion, against whatever group of people, it is wrong. And you're helping them. You're helping the Luciferians. So don't go to extremes. Don't let them incite you. Okay? And don't let them pervert whatever religion it is that you believe in. Even if you believe in atheism, of course they're also trying to influence them, So whatever you believe in, originally, it's probably a good thing, it's a good thing. So don't let them pervert it, And if you, how so maybe some people ask, how can we recognize them? Well, now you know how to recognize them, right? If they do those kinds of things, if they have hatred for religion, if they want you to like start a revolution and be violent, and if they incite you, and if they say, oh, these people, yeah, these are the problem, we have to fight against these people, and blah blah blah, and they have always been evil, they're projecting themselves onto traditional religions or traditional communities of people, and they want you to uh, they want you to react by hating these groups of people. They want to incite you. So don't let them incite you. And whatever religion it is that you believe in, it's probably a peaceful religion. It's probably a religion that believes in God, and it's probably a religion that teaches people to do good things, you know. Um, so if you let them incite you to to go to extremes and to become an extremist, even if it's a religious extremist, you're actually hurting your religion because you're making your religion look bad, and you're taking part of destroying your religion from the inside. So don't let them do that. That's what I wanted to get at, because I have seen so many good people believing in good religions, even believing in the same religions that I do, you know, having fallen for this, and being deceived by essentially an evil Luciferian ideology without even being aware of it. They think they're doing a good thing. They think they're advancing the cause of their religion by fighting against this other religion or whatever, But they're just destroying both religions at the same time, and essentially, they're doing that with everyone. So that's one of the ways they want to destroy all religions. And I've seen so many people, unknowingly following this evil ideology, and all the while thinking that they're doing a good thing, and then they're like, yes, normally violence wouldn't be justified, and normally, normally we shouldn't hate, but now the hate is justified. No, hate is never justified. Violence is never justified. Don't let them deceive you. They'll they'll cause you to destroy yourself, to destroy others, and to destroy yourself. So yeah, that's why I felt the need to address this, because of course it's difficult for me to truly address this. It's it's not easy. But I just felt, even if it's difficult to explain, I just felt I had to find a way to get this across as good as I can, because I've truly seen so many people being deceived and so many people going to extremes. And I tell you, when you go to extremes, it's always wrong. It's always wrong. Even if you think it's justified, it's always wrong. So that's the core message: is don't don't let yourself be incited. I know right now, there's a lot of stuff going on in society, a lot of people with, difficult situations, but whatever might happen, don't let them incite you. Never go to extremes. Never resort to any kinds of violence. Never resort to hate or anything. If they manage to do that, they will have won, and they will have destroyed not only the people that they're inciting you against, but they would have destroyed you. So don't let them incite and deceive you, please.